Okay, I was instructed to do a commercial break here. So JR was talking about our ice cream being adulterated, and I just want to tell everybody that Ben Brubaker has unadulterated ice cream at the station in Fredericktown if anybody wants any. So I actually moved here in 2010 with my family, with my 11 children. As did some, actually, other people that were in this crowd. Ben Brubaker moved here with his 10 children, and Jerry Godfrey, who was right there, probably went to go get some lunch. But we moved here for similar reasons. I was almost embarrassed to tell people that I moved here for community. We just identified this area as a place we wanted to live, to raise our family. And people would ask me why I moved here, and I would kind of hem-haw around. And when I told them, they looked at me confused, like, what, you couldn't make friends back home in Michigan? And but we just recognized this area, and we really just didn't have any regrets for what we were looking for. There's been a migration to this area, and we didn't know it when we moved here. We just knew people we wanted to finish out raising our families with. But I wanted to take a little time and tell you guys a story about a friend of mine. His name is Sam. And Sam, I got to know, he works for a friend of mine. And before he went to work for this friend of mine, Sam was in a bad place. He was overweight. He was broke. He couldn't even make it to the interview. My friend had to drive to his house. And I talked to Sam, and Sam said, I never had anybody come to my house when I was applying for a job. And he said I had to pull together some cheese and crackers, to host this guy. And so Eugene, my friend, hired Sam on the spot. And the guys that worked for Eugene, for a while, went and picked up Sam to take him to work because Sam didn't have the money for gas. And over time, Sam got on his feet. Sam lost 75 pounds, and he's a total stud in F3 now. And he's got 4 children. I talked to him this morning, and he's learned a trade. Today, Sam was helping a friend out pour concrete at his house, so he's giving back. And I tell you this story about Sam because I have other stories like this. My son Steve, who works for me, he's our field operations manager at work, told me, he said, Dad, I had a guy come to me and say, when I came to work for you, I couldn't even look anybody in the eye. He said, now I find myself approaching people. I could go on with stories like this. Cameron, who told me after working for us for a while, Cameron had worked for me for 7 years, he said, hey, I really think this job saved my life. I've got more stories, but it wasn't always this way. Back in from 2009 to 2012, I 10x'd my income. And having 11 children at a time, at that time, it was really good news for me. Because, we had at times been living from paycheck to paycheck. And so it was really good having that bank account, so you'd think. But what people didn't know was that I was losing my life, physically, spiritually, and relationally. I was traveling around the United States, and I was on this treadmill that I didn't know how to get off. My wife and I don't even know if I've ever said this in public before, but at our wedding, one of our wedding vows was divorce was not an option. We actually said that in our vows because of our past. We both came from very dysfunctional homes. We felt it was important to make that statement and put that stake in the ground. And so we said it as plain as that. But during that time, even though we didn't say it, the thought crossed both of our minds. And one day I was going through the airport, and in desperation I had been praying, and I came across this book. in the bookstore there. The book was actually written by a man named Patrick Lencioni. Maybe you've heard of him. And the book said, the caption in the book said, "Organizational health trumps everything else in business." And I was just like, what is this? What does this mean, organizational health? I had no idea. So I picked up the book. I read it on the airplane. By the time I got done reading this book, it had lit a fire in me. I was like, the way he described organizational health in an entrepreneurial organization was an organization that had minimal politics, that had high levels of trust, and that had great clarity. And I got done reading that book and I thought, I don't know if I've ever seen this. I don't know if I've ever seen a healthy organization. And I'm talking about the churches that I'd been in. It reframed the way I thought about things. And you know, and I'll speak specifically to the litany of church breakups that I'd seen. I always wanted to find the villain, you know, the bad guy in the situation. But what I realized was these were good people. It's a lot of good people that didn't have this skill set or the skills to build these types of organizations. And so we started to build differently. We started to gain the tools that we needed, read books and talk to people that had the same vision. And we found the solution. And that's why we're in this place now. And I actually work with people like Eugene Gura to develop their entrepreneurial organization into something that's not soulless and life-draining, but something that's life-giving. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that we don't have our problems, but our vision, we believe in this. We believe that your workplace can be something that you can grow at, not just your bank account, but we can work collectively to make our lives better. So since 2012 until now, our organization has grown 600%. But I don't look at the bank account as the measurable for success. Organizational health is our measure of success. Guys like Sam, who have been given dignity. I believe this, you guys. I believe that the entrepreneurial organization, the places we go through every day today, can have more of an impact on this world than our local churches are having today. Because we're with each other so much longer. What if you know, back in the day when I was, you know, first starting out and I was trying to find my way, and my wife and I were having children, and I needed this thing called money to support my family, I had two rules. It was I wanted a job that I could learn at, because I understood that, you know, I came into the workplace with no trade, no skill set, and I needed one. And so I wanted something that I could learn, that I could grow at. And I also wanted more money. I would leave my job, as long as it was moral. I'm a Christian, you know. I would leave that job for this one if I could have more money. But the missing ingredient was the people element. Finding the right people to work with, people that share your core values. So we have been doing this. 5 years ago, I started a mastermind group of businesses because I felt like I needed to be with other business owners. And I studied different mastermind groups out there, and so it was like an experiment for me. And we started getting together. I'm still with the same guys, 5 guys, and we've grown our businesses, but we've made them healthier. And we call this the Focus Forum. The Focus Forum, we meet in Jackson. We're a very diverse group of guys. We have, you know, an attorney that meets with us. He's a serial entrepreneur. He also owns a pharmacy. We have an insurance agent that meets with us. We have Scott back here, our tech guy, and Ryan's partner. He meets with us. And it's just so refreshing to be part of these guys' journey. To be part of a group of guys who are growing their businesses and that have a vision to grow a healthy organization that isn't soulless. I have success stories surrounding this. I've also got battle wounds. We're not perfect. Last year, we started a group. This was a goal of ours as a group to start a group. We call it NOBA. It stands for No Boys Allowed, because we started this group just to inspire the next generation. Young men that need to establish goals. Young men that need accountability to reach those goals. Young men to be told, you need to be a young man. And so we started that last year. We also launched what we call our No BS EOS Summit. I won't go into the acronym there, but of businesses that want to get together and support each other, that have this, and to inspire them to be something more than a cash generating machine. To grow your business. I remember I mentioned Sam earlier, and Eugene, the owner of his company, I remember talking to him, pitching to him this vision. And if anybody knows Eugene Gura, you know one thing: he's not a selfish man. He's not a greedy man. He's not a man that wants to surround himself with a lot of money. He's just a responsible businessman. And he said to me, he said, well, Dale, I have enough. And I said, Eugene, I understand that, but what about the guys working for you? You don't think that you can give more? Like, they want to belong to an organization that has upward mobility, something that's growing. And that's what clicked with Eugene, because he's not selfish. And so he was able to go and spend that time with Sam, sit at his house when he was in really the pit of despair, and empower him to become a man, to give him that vision. So we've launched NOBA. We've launched the No BS EOS Summit. And what we want to do is, when you have success, a healthy entrepreneurial organization, what it tends to do is spin off into other organizations. Like, people see it. And we're passionate about it because, we teach from our pain. When you teach from your pain, it becomes an infection. It infects other people in a good way. And so what we want to do is we want to launch another mastermind group for entrepreneurs in this area. We've been doing this in Jackson. What we found is, the group hits a ceiling after about 8 guys. And we've gotten some interest in this area, so we'd like to continue on this road and continue to replicate this model that we've proven as a group. I say as a group because I absolutely believe in community, and I believe in the power of the tribe. The last thing I wanted to say, and Darren asked me to be open to questions. If anybody has any questions about what we're doing, is I'm a Christian, and I believe in trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ as a foundation. And I actually, I hold Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin because it's honest scales. We've seen what's been going on for a long time. I remember. Anybody ever see those chick tracks? Remember those chick tracks or whatever we passed out back in the day? I know you did, Jerry. There was one about years ago when I was first getting into the workforce about our crumbling monetary system, and it terrified me. I was 20 years old. I'm like, this is what I'm getting into. But I trusted as a foundation the Lord Jesus Christ and people, because I know that God uses people who are created in His image to build His kingdom. And that's why I'm passionate about what I'm doing with promoting healthy community in entrepreneurial organizations. So that's what I got. And I just like to, I'll hand this off to you, Rai. Okay, does anybody have any questions about what we're doing?
So have you just started this in Jackson, or is there other places, wider abroad?
We started this in Jackson, and the system that we're using is called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And that system is really, it's going global. And so I'm networking. I was just on a call with some guys this morning. We meet every Saturday for an hour. We call it No BS EOS because we call each other out, and we drive accountability. So it is, if you look up EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, that particular system that we're using to drive healthy communities is actually a global system. Yeah, we didn't invent it. We're just not that smart. Any other questions?
Is that open source POS? Is it open source or is it a commercial product?
So that's a good question, Chris. So EOS, when we implemented it into our business, you, just like anything, you can hire an implementer. We were paying a lot of money. It was like $6,000 for a session, and we were doing that 5 times a year. Just because we wanted to, I was desperate. I knew my craft. Like so many business owners, we know our craft, but we don't know how to operate a business. And so I was desperate to learn how to have this operating system. So I paid about 30 grand a year. But what we're doing with our mastermind and these other things that we're implementing is we're trying to empower people to implement this. Maybe people that don't have access to $30,000. We are implementing other tools also, just because we're passionate about, again, healthy entrepreneurial organizations. So you can have access to it. You can read the book. I think did I give it to you, the book? Okay, I will. And you can implement on your own, but people need help. Honestly, that's why we need community, and that's why we would want to start something like this in this area, just to support one another in a mastermind group.
How can people learn more?
Just talk to you, Ryan, and get my number from Ryan, if you're interested. We're implementing these tools on several levels. Obviously, not everybody has a business, but in particular, and we're not. If there's a lady here, a woman that has a business, come on in. But young men in particular need to level up right now, and they need to learn how to set goals and be in a tribe that holds them accountable to those goals or empowers them to do that. And there's I'm actually, I look across here, and I'm in community with different men here on different levels, like this workout group Chris and I are involved in with Ryan in the morning, F3, and then there's the Focus Forum group that I'm in with Scott. But really, I'm here just to promote Christian communities that empower men, because quite honestly, the churches, I'll just say this is maybe a bold statement, but listening to sermons all the time isn't cutting it, guys. We need to get our hands dirty in one another's lives. So, good.